918-460-KMOD. You can also text BMMS and then what you want to say to 82945. Listen online, the website that rocks, KMOD.com. Past shows are available on iTunes. Search under BMMS. Listen with your cell phone. Get the iHeartRadio app, available from the App Store of your cell phone provider. More on that at iHeartRadio.com. And we're on Facebook. Facebook.com/BMMS69. That's where you can hang out with us each and every day. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Corbin.
Good morning, Gimpy.
Well, good morning.
Take a see Blink 182. They're going to be over in Rogers, Arkansas on September 24th, which feels far away. But it's not. We got best and worst of the weekend. What's the best thing that happened this weekend and the worst thing that happened this weekend? We're going to talk with a listener because they're awesome. And Jeff Hensley from Hensley & Associates is going to join us. Going through a divorce, custody, guardianship, name change. He can help with any of those questions. Get your question to us ahead of time. The email address is show@kmod.com. You can text your question, BMMS, and whatever that question is to 82945. Or you can call when he's in the studio. Kind of a weird question. How big can you open your mouth?
Oh, why is that weird?
Just not something you usually ask people.
Right.
I can open my mouth as far as it will let me. How about you?
Sure. I don't think I could fit my
The show's going to go downhill more if you guys give ambiguous answers.
I don't think I can fit my entire fist in my mouth.
I could if I had an elbow.
Right, if you could reach it, yeah.
Right, exactly. I could try to force it. You want me to try to force it in?
No, I'm just curious. Like, I don't know how big I can open my mouth either. I've never measured. I've never taken that into consideration. I've never seen another individual and been like, damn, they can open their mouth a lot. I've seen plenty of porns that maybe could instill that thought.
Right.
But never checked the box of like, oh, they can open their mouth a lot. Well, there's this lady who has the Guinness World Record for being able to open her mouth the most.
Of course a woman be able to open her mouth the most.
Listen, I know plenty of men that run their mouth a lot.
Right.
How big do you think the measurement is on how big she can open her mouth?
9.5 inches.
9.5 inches.
No.
How big is 9.5 inches?
No clue.
You're saying it, and I don't think you understand how absurd it is what you're saying.
And that's in circumference, right? That's round 9.5.
Open
to
it,
bottom.
top to bottom.
Yeah.
You think
God
she
damn.
can open her mouth this wide, like
Is
an
that really
out?
that?
You're lucky, husband.
I know.
You think that? You think these?
Lindsay,
Look at.
Well, listen. How big a lady is she?
Look at.
look,
That
Lindsay,
doesn't matter.
From here to where my finger is, Lindsay, that's 9 inches.
You think that's how big someone can
Well,
open
I mean,
their
if
mouth?
she holds the record,
Okay, you think someone can open it 6?
what if it's unhinged? What if her jaw? She's got that.
snake?
She can unhinge.
I don't
her
think that's
jaw.
a thing. I don't think that's a thing. So Lindsay thinks 9. Gimpy?
I do have a measurement tool here, so 9 inches is absurd. I think 6 could be possible. I think 6 inches, because right there where you see my finger is,
Yeah.
Corbin, that's the top. All right, that's at the 1 incher.
Yeah.
And then right there is 6 inches.
She's looking at a ruler.
Well, you have to.
Well, I didn't have that.
I mean, I think people have common. I'm sorry. I made an assumption that people
Yes,
had
you
common
did.
knowledge
Don't do that
of how
again.
big 9 inches is.
Even 6 inches seems a lot.
But it's a world record holder.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to go with 6 inches, even though I feel that's still a little too much.
The record for her as the world record holder is 2.998. So we'll just say 3.
It's almost 3 inches.
3 inches, which doesn't sound like a lot. No. But she can put a whole baseball in her mouth.
Wow.
Damn.
She can put the end of a can, a regular size soup can, a burger with 10 patties on it.
Okay.
Yikes.
Yes. Amongst other things that she can put in her mouth. Now go with 9 inches,
Yeah,
Lindsay.
no way. That just feels. That just seems so painful.
I don't know how you get to that point. I don't know how you go, this is my thing.
Oh, my God. That's quite the...
Listen, by the way, she looks like she needs to be able to open her mouth 3 inches. Sorry. I'm not trying to be mean, just saying.
Okay, I'm not going to count the 10 patty burger one.
I've never accounted that on anything anyway, because you can smoosh it down.
Exactly.
But the baseball.
The baseball is impressive. That is quite the hole you have there, lady.
And does she ever eat a 5 patty burger, let's say, and go, that's no problem.
It's good. It got the job done.
Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful.
Right. And she puts a whole ass orange in her mouth, look like a nectarine. Okay.
To go right.
Oh,
I don't even know if I've ever tried. The only time I've ever tried to force something into my mouth is when I thought someone was going to steal it off my plate.
Yeah.
that's fair.
Right? Like I've been like, which I don't even know if I've done in 20 years. Yeah, Gimpy can almost get the bottom of a water bottle in his mouth.
Oh, I can't even wrap my lips around it. Let's go with the tapered end first.
Oh, that'll always be easier.
Right.
I could get the tip in.
It's called a starter.
Right.
I think Patricia's, those are called starters. Could be wrong, though.
Yeah, and that's a water bottle, and that's still quite the feat.
There's some give on it, right?
Yeah.
To get it in there.
Yeah, and the one that I just picked up is a brand new bottle, unopened. So, and I couldn't, I guess if I worked it, I could probably really get the base in there. But, yeah, for the most part, I can't even. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
But that's a half empty bottle and allows squish.
Yeah.
So you can fit it in there.
Anytime I see something like this, it reminds me that a raccoon can ball up to the size of a softball, which means you can fit 2 raccoons in your anus.
Huh? I thought I knew some interesting things, but that's new.
So, which you'll think about later today, you're welcome.
2 coons in your butt. Got it.
Watching her put things in her mouth is making me so.
Which is a movie you will promote at 9.
Right. The tennis ball, the fur of a tennis ball on your tongue, that's awful. The playing card, she just put that. Like, I think of how many germs are on a playing card.
Well, who knows if she bought it brand new,
Sure.
but I think she's showing the height
Of course.
and her ability to open. She's not shoving it into her mouth.
Right. Again, though, with the cards, I feel like that gives some give. All of these things, I guess, really, except for the baseball.
And even the give it allows is very minimal
Very
with the leather. Just sit around she lives in Alaska, so
What else?
Yeah.
there's a lot of darkness. You got to figure things out.
Exactly.
I wonder what's the biggest thing I can fit in my mouth. Let's look around, huh?
It had to have been a high thing or a drunk thing.
Right.
And a dare, like something like that, where you're sitting around the fire and, man, you got a big mouth. Well, I bet I can fit this can. No, you can't. And then you just do it. I hope it's that. But there are a bunch of people out there would love to have a Guinness World Record. Somebody texted on Friday to us and said, hey, what's a Guinness record you've always wanted to achieve? We didn't pick that because the answer is 0.
Right.
Right.
I can't think of a Guinness record I've ever wanted to pursue.
No.
There was one that I found, and it was like, what was it? It was drinking one of those large bottles of lemon juice.
You could never do it.
I know. I can barely talk about it without wanting to punch a baby in the face. But it was like 40 ounces of lemon juice within like a certain time duration. You had to drink it through a straw. And I was like, that seems simple enough. But then I'm reminded how much I hate lemons, and that's just not going to happen at all.
I just don't want my Life or obituary to read that.
Well, I mean, this is
I hope the things I
accomplishment.
accomplish in life in reflection, and when people hopefully celebrate my life, it won't be that I sucked 40 ounces of lemon juice through a straw,
right.
or I had the world's biggest agape mouth.
Now, going back to that, when they did send that in, I'm already thinking about it in case, it comes up on willy-nilly. I think, and I've done it before on the show and several times afterwards, is snorting a condom up my nose and pulling it out my mouth in a set time. I can do it in, 5 seconds easily.
Now that's just nasty.
Well, that's what you say, but I mean, it is a great party trick. And I mean, if there is a world record for that.
There is.
Oh, great.
The record for the most times sucking a condom through their nose in 1 minute.
Uh-huh.
What do you think it is?
Is this how many condoms they're sucking through their nose in a minute? That's kind of how it sounds like.
Yes. How many can you do it? How many times can you do it in 1 minute?
How many times?
Yeah.
That's up the nose, out the mouth, up the nose, out the mouth.
Through the
up
nose, yeah, and out the mouth in 1 minute. How many times do you think you could do, Gimpy?
At least 5,
Okay.
I think. And that maybe more than that, but I feel like I could do it at least 5 times in a 60-second stand.
The record's 12 years old, so it's ready to be broken.
Okay.
Wow.
This individual has enjoyed his reign.
Okay.
I would think.
It's time for me to take them down, huh?
Yeah, the record's 8.
8 times. huh?
Whoa.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
You said not 5 seconds. It takes you 5 seconds to do it.
Give or take. I've never actually timed myself doing it, but it just
Okay.
seems like it goes by in a matter of seconds. Because it's just a matter of sucking it up the nose and then pulling it out your mouth.
exactly.
So, yeah, I ain't fine. I could possibly.
And even if something takes you a duration of time, the longer you do it, the longer it takes.
What do you mean by that?
Because there's a fatigue that kicks in,
Okay.
right? And there's like a wear and tear, if you will.
Okay, so like probably get to like 2, maybe 3, and then things start to slow down because I'm tired of sucking rubber up my nose and pulling it out my mouth.
Physical demand on the body.
Okay.
Unless you train a lot for it, which is what a lot of people do.
Right.
Then it doesn't feel as exhausting.
Right, because you're used to it. That might give me something to work on.
Like you can go, well, I can run from here to the end of the street, or the end of the hall in 5 seconds. Okay. On the 10th time, you're not doing it in 5 seconds.
Right, exactly.
Right.
You're starting to slow down. Makes sense.
Yes, especially if you've never trained that.
Makes good sense.
If we just, start a fresh day with that. Same thing with sucking a condom through your nose and out your mouth.
Okay.
First time, unless you train.
Right. And that's something it wouldn't be that hard to train for that. You're just sitting at home. You could do it while watching TV, eating dinner.
Then there's injuries that could happen.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Colds that could occur.
How terrible would that be? I'm at home training for my world condom snorting record, right? In front of the TV. Dogs are out. I choke and die, because I'm not used to this. And now I'm dead in my living room with rubber sticking out of my mouth.
Oh my gosh. It would be an awful way to find you.
Not a way to be found.
No.
I don't know what happened. He's got a condom sticking out of his mouth. It's the wrong way, though. What,
And no one would believe it.
what kind of weird stuff is this
He
guy?
was training to break a world record.
Sure you were.
I was looking because there's a couple different condom records
Okay.
out there. And one of them is most sucked through the nose at once.
Okay. Kind of like, the old magician with the handkerchief sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this says 1, which doesn't feel, it feels like it should be more than.
Yeah, I figure you've got 2 nostrils. You should be able to
Okay,
at
here's
least do
3.
2 at one time.
This guy did 3 through his nose at once.
At one time.
Yeah.
How?
Again, this, I don't, not a goal for me. This is
Right.
not something that I would stand up and use to get notoriety.
Well, you think people use, the condom sucking through the nose, not the mouth. You think they go for those records because they think no one else will?
No one else
So no one will
or
try to
they're
beat that record because it's
easily achieved.
kind of gross and no one wants to do that.
I think it's kind of like, doing a sprint triathlon and telling people you do triathlons.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I tell people I do triathlons, but I don't do triathlons. I do sprint triathlons. And for those that don't know, it is a smaller triathlon.
Still triathlons.
It's
in the
still a
name, though.
triathlon.
Right.
You hike one day on the Appalachian Trail, you get to say you hiked the Appalachian Trail. If you don't make it to the peak of a mountain, you still get to say you hiked the mountain.
Yeah.
Only if people ask a follow-up question do they find out you didn't.
Right.
So I guess you get to say you're a Guinness World Record holder.
Right.
Well, for what? Maybe after a few beers, I'll tell you.
Let's not get into details.
All right, we got tickets to Blink 182 we're going to give away. We've also got Best and Worst of the Weekend. Our listeners are awesome, and Jeff Hensley's going to join us. You got a question about divorce or custody or guardianship or any family law scenario, he will be in the studio to answer it at 9. Want to say to 82945. News quickies are stories you may have missed in the news, but we cover them here and put a link on our Facebook page if you want more. Facebook.com/BMMS69.
It's time for News Quickies, world news, local news, and news that just makes you say, what the Now here's Corbin, Gimpy, and Lindsay with what's going on. News Quickies from the Big Man Morning Show in 97.5 KMOD.
Tourists caught having sex on footpath in Thailand. So this dude, Zhang, who's 67 years old, and his partner, Lin Ting, who's 35, set up a tripod before stripping down and recording themselves doing the deed on the pavement in Pattaya, Thailand. This happened last Wednesday. Shocked onlookers watched as they got it on in broad daylight. Police swooped in on the spot, and because they were alerted by security who had seen the pair having sex on the footpath near the entrance to a famous walking street. The guard was able to photograph the couple before they left, which he then showed the police. Officers tracked the couple to their hotel and took them into the police station for questioning. And there's humiliating footage, apparently, and it shows their awkward elevator ride and the pair's walk of shame to the police station. Upon arrival, the couple told the police that they did not know that having sex in public was illegal in Thailand. He said, "I'm a photographer who likes to travel around the world. I take nude photos in various locations. I have visited many countries, and I have done the same thing elsewhere." Officials revealed that the couple expressed remorse for their actions, saying that they apologized to the people of Thailand and the officials for damaging their image. They were fined for lewd behavior, and they face up to 10 years in jail if they are found to have published their X-rated content on the internet. So not only are they facing for public indecency, they also are being interrogated in connection with the Computer Crime Act. So overall, they're looking at about $5,000 in fines over there.
They'll make that if they put it online.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any place in the world where public sex or sex in public is legal?
According to him, there is in other countries where he's been. He's done it before.
Well, not getting caught
That is true, yes.
That's the thing.
and being legal are not the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately having sex in public pretty much anywhere is illegal. I can't imagine there's countries like, yeah, banging public, it's fine.
Mm-hmm. They say that this place, that Pattaya, is 100 kilometers from Bangkok, and it's widely known as a party town. It's famous for vibrant nightlife, numerous bars, nightclubs, entertainment venues.
How many places do you know in society that have that description?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so to
Tons.
me, that
Miami.
doesn't... to try and make it sound like it's this, debauchery, hedonistic
Sure.
place is not a good description.
Right.
To me, a lot of places feel that way. To me, it's like going to New Orleans, and then you're like, well, I can have sex in the alley. No, you can't.
Right. Right on Bourbon Street. Let's go.
Yeah. People think showing your breast is okay. It is not.
Need to be. So, just an article that I found. Apparently, in Germany, it's legal to have sex in public. Under German law, public nudity is legal in designated areas. It's also legal to have sex in public. However, combining the two can get you into big trouble. So, Germany, Guadalajara, Vondel Park in the Netherlands, someplace in Denmark I can't pronounce, and that's just what this article shows me. So
This take it for what you will. It is basically illegal everywhere, even if some people do it and don't get caught. Like you said, to be naked was okay.
right,
But
in
having
Germany,
sex,
well, and you can have sex as well. It's also legal to have sex in public. This is in Germany. However, combining the two can get you into big trouble. So
what does that mean?
have
Yeah.
sex in public, just keep your clothes on.
Right, you can't do that.
Sure you can.
That's why our pants have zippers on them.
Right.
And dresses are made.
Nope, that's not why they have those things.
When they're putting clothes together, like somebody's going to have sex in Germany in front of everybody.
Yeah, you just got to
But they
get
don't want to
creative.
show their wiener.
I think there's a big difference between being in Amsterdam and going to a sex show,
Right.
and you go up on stage and do it,
Right.
thinking that is okay.
Yeah, but that's in a building, with rusty chairs left over from the church, gathering.
Okay, so this says Amsterdam, there's a park, I think you mentioned it, where they would tolerate discreet sexual activity at night as long as people cleaned up after themselves
Oh, my.
and stayed away from playgrounds.
Yeah.
But the police will intervene if they feel like it's out of hand.
Okay.
Berlin, Germany. They have liberal laws around nudity and sexuality, and some people do engage in public acts in parks, but technically, public sex can still get you fined if someone complains. Copenhagen, Free Christina's is known for its alternative culture and relaxed vibes. Some outdoor sex happens there, but it's not legal. And then some places in rural Spain and Italy where you hear about people having sex and the police don't bother unless there's a complaint, but there is a law.
Okay.
So it's just one of those things where it happened so much that they're like, you know what? We don't have time to deal with this anymore. We have other things going on.
I don't think so.
Or is it doesn't happen enough to worry about it?
I think most people run with a good moral code of not performing sexual acts in front of others.
Right.
And the police are like a little bit of
Yeah.
But I think we see police do that here. I think you see some police who see somebody urinating behind a dumpster and they're like, okay. And then you see some that are like, I got other fish to fry.
Right. It's really on their discretion.
Right.
Whether or not they want to make a big deal about it.
Or
not.
they'll intervene and be like, hey, cut it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Put your
I don't
clothes
want to
on.
have to. Don't make paperwork for me.
Right.
Right? I think there's that type of thing.
I guess that makes sense. Driver blames come-and-go crash on his Crocs. This happens in Missouri. Late February this year, a 60-year-old guy named Dale Hammett slams his 2012 Dodge Ram into this come-and-go and then just simply backs up and leaves without saying a damn thing. Well, this cat even came back to the same come-and-go in the same truck, went inside, talked with an employee twice, even watched the security footage of his accident with the employee. Never once did he say, that's me. So the cops come out and they're talking to him. He denies it. Said, no. It's not me. It's not my truck. Later on, they questioned him at home. He admitted then to being the driver of the truck and the one involved. And he says that his Croc got stuck on the gas pedal, which caused him to slam into the come-and-go, and that he freaked out. And that's why he ended up leaving the scene. Well, now this cat's looking at felony leaving the scene of an accident, and it could get him 1 to 4 years in jail if he's convicted.
You and I are heavy Croc users.
Absolutely.
You ever gotten your Croc hung up on something like that?
Not a gas pedal.
No. You can't say that I have either.
Now, I could see it happening if he had, like, a lot of charms on his Croc, and then, like, he's just kind of, feet down by the gas pedal, and then it gets, like, wedged between the Croc and like, his Pokemon character, causing it to get stuck. But even then,
I don't know,
it
man.
wouldn't have get stuck with it pedaled down and accelerating. It would just be stuck underneath the pedal.
Unless he was, riding the middle between the brake and the gas pretty close and it slipped off
Okay.
and got behind, but then went to the...
Yes, I'm finding it hard to believe that this could happen.
Right. What? Just take accountability.
Right.
I made a mistake.
Right.
Don't blame the Crocs. That's rude.
Right.
They're just Crocs, man. Garbage truck driver run over by own truck suing employer. This happens in Pennsylvania, where man is suing a Pittsburgh area trash truck who claims he was run over by his own truck. Tyler Spade of Uniontown is suing Republic Services, as well as the Penn Township resident and the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, among others. He claims his truck hit what he described as a leaning and overhanging tree. The complaint claims the impact caused Spade to be thrown from the truck, which ran over his legs. According to the complaint, he suffered multiple injuries, including leg fractures, permanent nerve damage, lacerations, and contusions. He also claims his injuries have resulted in pain, anguish, sickness, and agony.
Ugh.
Trash trucks are pretty big.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I do believe that it could knock him off.
Yeah.
I could
sure.
see that happening. But also, if it was that big to knock him off, I feel like it would make a loud noise against the truck. I don't know if it just hit him out of nowhere.
Right.
With that being said, he's totally going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not very often. Sometimes I see it in my neighborhood. The trash people ride in the cab and go they get off the truck and then walk to each house. Rarely do I see them riding on the back.
I think in my neighborhood, they ride in the back. You got one driver and
Okay.
then two guys on the back. And then, one gets off and does the right side of the road. The other guy gets off and does the other side of the road. Dump them in. And
They had one like an ATV type of thing, and he would go around and load up trash into that, and then catch back up to the truck, to try and get more houses done.
seems pretty smart.
I'm sure. I have no idea. That is not an easy gig, man.
Yeah.
All right, all these stories are on our Facebook page at facebook.com/BMMS69.
Let's rock. More of the Big Mad Morning Show is next. 97.5 KMOD.
Good morning. It's the Big Mad Morning Show, 918-460-KMOD. You can also text BMMS and then what you want to say to 82945.
Karina Groff, a former MIT soccer player named the 2022 NCAA Woman of the Year, died on Saturday along with 6 others, including members of her family, in a plane crash in upstate New York. The twin-engine Mitsubishi MU-2B went down shortly after noon in a muddy field in Copake, New York, near the Massachusetts line, killing everyone on board, according to authorities and a family member who spoke to the Associated Press. Shortly before the crash, the pilot had radioed air traffic control at Columbia County Airport to say he had missed the initial approach and requested a new approach plan, officials with the National Transportation Safety Board said at a Sunday briefing. While preparing the new coordinates, air traffic controllers attempted to relay a low-altitude alert 3 times with no response from the pilot and no distress call. Investigators obtained a video of the final seconds of the flight, which appeared to show that the aircraft was intact and crashed at a high rate of descent into the ground. Among the 6 victims were Groff, her parents, her boyfriend, her brother, and his partner. The pilot was flying under instrumental flight rules rather than visual flight rules, but it was too soon to determine if reduced visibility from weather conditions was a factor, according to officials. The plane itself was sold a year ago and had an upgraded cockpit with newer technology that was certified to Federal Aviation Administration standards. Investigators expect to be at the crash site for about a week, and a full accident report could take 12 to 24 months to complete.
Did it say what kind of plane it was?
Yeah, Mitsubishi MU-2B.
Yeah. All right. So a prop plane.
Okay.
So it's not going up. I don't think it's going to go up high enough that it needs to be pressurized, which is how Payne Stewart died. You remember the golfer? He died. This plane, they hypoxia. It didn't pressurize correctly. They all died in the plane. Just like they let it crash into the ground.
Right.
Because they dispatched fighter jets and they could see that everybody was like out.
Yeah. If everybody's dead, I mean, what are you going to do?
Well, yeah, there was a question of the safety of the descent. Anyway, so who knows? But if they're not responding, and
Right.
he's not acknowledging a low altitude alert, there must have been, maybe there was a medical emergency, and it's possible there could have been a medical emergency and people. No, it's probably an open cockpit. Can't imagine it's a door cockpit. Maybe it is.
And that's your Balls to the Wall Sports. I'm Lindsay on 97.5 KMOD.
Balls to the Wall Sports is powered by the award-winning service of Groundworks Tulsa. More of the big
KMOD. You can also text BMMS and then what you want to say to 82945. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Corbin. You got bills, we could be paying them. Your next couple of car payments could be on us when you rock the bank. It's back today beginning at 8 o'clock this morning. It's in less than an hour from now. You could win $1,000 when you hear that nationwide keyword. Enter it online at the website that rocks, KMOD.com. Again, at 8 o'clock this morning, you could win $1,000 when you hear that keyword. Good luck.
Good morning, Gimpy.
Well, good morning, Corbin. Smoking Guns 10 is happening 1 week from this Saturday. So next Saturday going down at the BOK Center. Firefighters Against Police duking it out for charity. You can get your tickets at BOKcenter.com.
All right, time for best and worst of the week. And what's the best thing that happened this weekend and the worst thing that happened this weekend? BMMS and whatever that is to 82945. Lindsay, what's the best and what's the worst?
Well, on the best, I guess, Saturday, I got my first burn of the season out of the way. Sunburn, that is.
Oh, okay.
On the lacrosse.
Someone's like, yeah, your mama's so fat.
On the lacrosse fields. And I even, I use sunscreen, 30, but I don't know if I just didn't use enough or reapplied, but I got it pretty good on my neck area and shoulders. And, pretty painful. But it's out of the way now, and it's not even May, right? I got my burn out of the way, and it's not even May. So that was the best part of it, I guess. Just being in the nice weather was awesome, being outside. It was perfect weather to be outside. I'd say the worst part of the weekend, on Friday, I finally tried my DIY project of putting up my shelf in the laundry room. And
You might need to remind everybody of what you're speaking of.
well, I wanted to do a collapsible folding table on the wall in my laundry room so I could use it for whatever. If I wanted to fold some laundry or use it as an extra shelf to just put the laundry soap or my dryer sheets. I had a giant table in my laundry room that was way too big for its spot. And it caused me to not be able to hang clothes properly to dry, stuff that needed to just air dry and not go in the dryer. I couldn't reach it because of this, where this table was. I got the table out of there and I thought, I'm just going to build a shelf and one that you can collapse if you don't want to use it. And unfortunately, I didn't know that there are different anchors when you put them into the wall. The shelf unit that I bought, that came with the anchors and everything, and I'm like, okay, great. So I got everything level, put the anchors in. As soon as I laid the piece of wood on the unit, it came out of the wall. Like, son of a, what the hell? I didn't know that there were drywall anchors that you
I love that
needed
you
to
say
buy.
it with like such absurdity.
Yeah. I didn't know. I thought all anchors were the same. I
Not
had
all
no
anchors are
clue.
created
Nope.
equal.
Nope.
All anchors are the same, but they don't work the same.
Right. Yeah, they don't work the same. So, how
much damage did you do to your wall?
I mean,
Is there a hole in it?
Six small holes. I mean, yeah.
Like it pulled them right out.
Yeah. It just fell right out.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of myself. I'm like, this looks great. It's even.
You don't even
It's
need anchors if you
level.
go right into the stud. Hey, now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We couldn't find the stud.
I find that hard to believe.
Ended up finding, we had to go higher up into the wall, apparently. Much higher.
They run vertical,
Didn't wanna-
not horizontal.
I know. Very strange.
No, they run vertical, not horizontal.
Right.
So
you wouldn't have
There's
to
no
go
argument
higher
there.
Up on the wall. It's just
I
over.
went into my husband's tool bag, found his electric stud finder, and we used that. And they're where the studs are in the wall, not where they should be.
What does that mean?
It's weird. They're not where they normally would be.
Yeah, let me
in any
rephrase
other
let me rephrase the
wall.
question. Where did you expect them to be, and where were they?
I don't know. What are they normally, like 2 feet apart in each wall or something when a house is being built?
Depends on when year your house was built.
In 2000.
Again, I don't know what year they changed it or people evolved out of it.
Yeah. So
12 or 16s, usually 12, 16 centers.
Okay. So I don't know. My girlfriend Kim, her husband was like, this is weird. These should be somewhere else. It's weird that they are here and not where. Whatever. But we managed it. We got it done, and it looks good. I just now have to patch the little holes that I made. But whatever. It's done and it's up and it's.
So did you do it or did he do it?
He helped me do it.
Sounds like
Or
he did
I helped him do it.
Sounds
I
like he
guess.
did it. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Whatever,
it got
it's done.
Yeah, it is done. Yeah. So
Does that count as you did a home project?
I think so.
Okay, listen. If we made an argument earlier that one day on the Appalachian Trail,
Right.
Because I
then
got
this holds true to that too.
yeah, because
She handed him a screwdriver.
I learned from my mistake for sure.
Well, you didn't. He fixed your mistake.
He helped me through it, big time.
Who did the work?
I mean,
He did.
the
Okay.
second time around, yeah, for
Technically,
sure.
both of them did.
You did the damage.
Yeah.
He did the work. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're counting as you did it. You
Not
will
all
tell
of it.
people if somebody comes over to your house and you show them, you will go, "Look what I did."
No.
You will say, "Look what my friend
Yeah,
did."
I will.
Then you didn't
Yeah.
do it.
But I'll say, look at these holes I patched after I put them in the wall.
if you
after
patch
I
them.
failed.
Right.
Oh no, I will. I will because it's an eyesore.
Yeah.
If I don't.
Yeah, you good at
Yeah.
patching drywall?
Yeah. I mean, I can
Did
do
you-
that kind of stuff. It's easy.
It's just some mud. It's putty,
Right?
Whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can see the whole. There's the shelf.
Okay, the shelf is about light switch height, and you've got an MDF board, and you've got about 1, 2, 3, 4. In one spot, there's at least 4 holes that I can see in the video. Yeah, you're gonna love catching your hip on the corner of that MDF.
Bam! Son of a bitch! Who
But it's
put this
up.
table here?
Best and worst of the weekend. What's the best thing that happened this weekend and the worst thing that happened this weekend? Gimpy, what's the best and what's the worst?
Oh, absolute best of the weekend would be Saturday. The Boys from Oklahoma concert in Stillwater. I am so blessed to be able to attend that show. It got sent up to my top 5 shows that I've ever been a part of. And the seats were solid, man. Solid. It was right there. I didn't have any obstructions of the view. I was kind of off to the side, but down low, not up in the nosebleeds. I wasn't down on the field or anything, which was cool because that son of a bitch was packed. Bodies everywhere. Everybody put on a great show, with the exception of the Great Divide. From what I heard, they were all right. I didn't sit and watch them or whatever, but they started late. I'll give them that because my brother and I, we left here at like 1 in the afternoon, something like that. Got there like 2 o'clock, and the gates opened at 4. Show's supposed to start at 5. Okay, so we're walking around and trying to get a spot anywhere inside a bar was not happening at all whatsoever.
Just packed everywhere.
Man, packed.
And no
man.
street thing happening?
They did have street things going on, man. They had live music and vendors, and there were people selling beer. We brought our own cooler, and we just walked around, drinking our own free beer and enjoying the sights. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Sounds awesome.
So we walked around a lot, and it's like, all right, let's go back to the truck, sit and chill in the air conditioner for a little while, and then we'll walk back to the stadium. So we did that. And it's like, all right, well, it's 4:30. Show's supposed to start at 5. Let's go ahead and get in and find our seats and find out where we're at. That way we're not rushing or anything when it comes around to it. And we get in there, and we found our seats, and everything's fine. And 5 o'clock, no Great Divide. 5. Okay, well, fine, whatever. We're just going to sit out here and chill and people watch. And then they finally came on. And I tell you what, man. Stoney LaRue came on the stage, and I was like, oh, God, here we go. He killed it. Finally gave me the performance that I have been expecting from that guy since I first got into his music. It was a great, solid performance from Stoney LaRue. Turnpike comes on. I was never a huge Turnpike fan. I like their music. I respect them. But seeing them live, I was like, well, this is pretty friggin' awesome. And then, of course, Ragweed come out and killed it. My brother was like, all right, that's it. It's time to go. I said, they ain't over yet, fool. And he's all walking down trying to get out. I said, I am not leaving this concert venue until he says good night, folks, or something to that effect. I was like, too many times, just with Cody Canada, I'd go to a show, something happens, I end up leaving early, and I can't watch the entire show. So I told him, I said, no, I am not leaving. I said, he ain't done yet. They ain't done yet. Come on, let's come sit back down. So we did, and we got another 3-song encore out of them, which was pretty awesome. And then we left. We rolled home. I got home at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Thank goodness McDonald's is open 24 hours because I was a starving Marvin, man, when we got back to Broken Arrow. I got a Big Mac meal and a 10-piece nugget, and I got home and I ate every goddamn, even the French fries. Ate every last bit of it. And finally, I think I was out at like 3:30 or something like that. And here comes the worst part of the weekend because I'm in bed at 3:30 in the morning on a Sunday after partying my ass off all day long. And I'm up at 6, ready for the day. I said, are you effing kidding me?
Like you just woke up naturally.
I did. After only being in bed for like 2.5 hours. And I laid back down. I was like, I'm not getting up yet. God damn it, I just went to sleep. So I lay there and I was turning back and forth. And finally, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning. I'm like, fine, I'm up. The hell else do you want from me for this day? So that was the worst part. Just for whatever silly reason, being up that goddamn early after very minimal sleep.
Best and worst of the weekend. What's the best thing that happened this weekend and the worst thing that happened this weekend? There was apparently, I don't know if it happened during the show, but there was something that happened with Garth at like Cody said something in regards to about how Garth has never played Boone Pickens Stadium.
All right.
And that Garth says it's impossible. Right?
Apparently not.
And that was Cody's point, is that they did it with no problem. The asterisk there, at least according to the interviews that Garth has done in the past, is that it is set up for an in-show, like what the Voice of Oklahoma show was. It was an in-show, so it means the stage is set up at the end,
right,
where Garth plays in the round.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And playing in the round with one side of a wall isn't great.
Right.
So that's why I think but he's played other stadiums, but just not that you set up, that Boone Pickens is set up for.
They had to do it or whatever.
Yeah. So whether that's true or not, I don't know if it's a real thing, but I thought it was funny that you're like, man, calling out Garth. Like,
all right, well, suck it up. Don't play in the round for once. Why don't you just do a regular show at the end, huh?
Sell more tickets.
Right.
Best and worst of the weekend. What's the best thing that happened this weekend? Worst thing that happened this weekend? BMMS and whatever that is to 82945. Best of the weekend for me was I got up in the attic to jump an outlet. I needed to put an outlet in the wall, so I got up in the attic and did all that and went well.
You're safe? Didn't fall through this time?
I hate being in the attic, but yeah, I'm okay.
Good.
And I use these new type of clips. You know, there's screws that go on top of wires when you wire nut, right? Mm-hmm. And I found out there's these new, maybe they're new to me, and they're just little clips where you push in clips.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And they snap in, and once they're in, they're in. And because I don't like doing wire nuts. Okay? And so I was like, this is awesome.
Right.
And went so much faster, and outlet works completely fine. And yeah, that was, felt very accomplished as a man.
Hooray!
Yeah. And then the worst part of the weekend would have to be that, I don't know if I have a worst part. There's not one that's sticking. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
My check engine light started blinking on my car. So for those who don't know, your check engine light comes on in your car. And in most modern cars, it is a constant check that happens to illuminate the light. And sometimes a gas cap adjustment will fix it. Sometimes there's a real problem that needs to be checked. Sometimes when you start your car back up, that light will go off because there's just this constant check that happens to see if things are working in accordance. But a blinking check engine light is a danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah, something
that
ain't
means
right.
there's a misfire happening. There is an issue. And I also have a brake warning light that's been on in my car for a while.
Uh-oh.
Which means that the brake pads are near their end because my car has a sensor to tell me if the brake pads are near their end. Sure. Like I'm going to believe you. So I have that. I'm at 100,000 miles. I have to go to have all that checked. So I'm getting ready to pay a pretty penny just to have maintenance done on my car.
Have you taken it to like O'Reilly's or AutoZone or something, get the check engine light checked?
Right. No, I could definitely do that. I'm just going to take it to the foreign car guy that I take it to.
Deal with it.
Yeah, let him drop it on and be like, do your thing, my brother.
Let him rob you.
No, he won't rob me.
That's good.
I feel like he's pretty fair.
Good.
And I'm not one of those people that thinks mechanics rob you. I'm sure there's some bad ones, but in general, I don't put them all into that thing of like mechanics rob you. That's like saying all car salesmen are swindlers.
Right.
So I trust him. If he takes me for a couple extra bucks, so be it. I got to get my car fixed, full stop.
Right.
So if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. Somebody texted in, jump and addict should not be in the same sentence with you. No, that's true. Best and worst of the weekend. What's the best thing that happened this weekend and the worst thing that happened this weekend? This says, I sold a ton of useless junk at the flea market in Sulphur. Worst, I couldn't leave the house this weekend without getting pulled over by the police. Like you got pulled over multiple times?
Wow. Wonder what'd you do?
That sucks.
Now they're just harassing them is all it is.
Another one. Best reached 1,000 subs on YouTube. Worst, pressure is on. I don't know what that means. How do you feel?
Subscribe.
No, I know what that means. Pressure is on. You think pressure's on for 1,000 subs?
Right. Wait till you get up to 50,000.
And I want to know what what is your YouTube? Tell us. I'm not going to promote it, but I'll be happy to see it
All right.
and see what you're talking about. That looks fun.
Might gain an extra subscriber.
Best, my dance band, Soul Shaker, played a Killer Joe's show at PJ's for a packed crowd. Band sounded great, danced all night. It was an awesome night. Worst, I broke my favorite cymbal, which will cost me $450 to replace.
Bro, cymbals are not cheap, man.
As a fellow drummer.
Yes. Remember my roommate got me a drum set for my birthday. Was that a couple of years ago or whatever? And I went up to Guitar World just to check and see how much some more cymbals would cost me. And you ain't walking out of there without spending a minimum $200 on a damn piece of metal.
That makes noise.
Yeah, the
absolutely.
sound, though.
Beautiful noise, too. But
Better than a trash can lid.
absolutely.
Or a pot lid.
Absolutely. But I ain't spending that kind. I'll deal with what I have.
Best started taking apple cider vinegar. Worst started taking apple cider vinegar.
For what?
Yeah, that's what my question
It
is.
doesn't
Why?
say.
Why?
I mean, there are people that take it for a bunch of different reasons. Some think it solves cancer. Some think it will help you lose weight. Some think it will do other things.
Okay.
Some of those are well proven. Some of them are questionable. But if you want to take apple cider vinegar, you go right ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm good on drinking vinegar.
I remember I saw a thing where a guy was like, I take apple cider vinegar and dilute it down and he drinks it every day. And I was like, that's interesting. I wonder what that tastes like. And then I did. I was like, well, this is dumb. Why would you put yourself through this?
It says here, health benefits of apple cider vinegar backed by science. So you know it's true. Aiding in weight loss, reducing cholesterol, lowering blood sugar levels, and improving the symptoms of diabetes.
Yeah. The science is iffy on some of those.
Yeah, I'm good.
There is science studying it, but as far as I know, there's nothing been like, there's no miracle.
Right.
Yeah. And they make apple cider vinegar gummies now, too. Like in the vitamin
Do you think they
section.
taste better?
I bet.
Just for the record, anything that's a gummy is not going to have a great health benefit for you. Because it's got gelatin and sugar in it. Best and worst of the weekend. What's the best thing that happened this weekend and what's the worst thing that happened this weekend? Best, some time with friends and family. Worst, fell ice skating and now my ribs hurt.
Ice skating in April?
Right?
I'm indoor.
90 degrees.
Oh, yeah, we
Oh.
do have that.
Yeah,
There's a
we
couple of them. Yeah. The Wee Street Ice Center is awesome.
Yeah. Forget about that.
Best went fishing Saturday, caught over 60 sand bass.
Damn. That's awesome.
Okay. Worst is I'm sunburned. I think my skin color is permanently changed. We're out EVW. Normally we'll have bad ignition coil when you check engine lights. Okay. Yeah. My car's got 100,000 miles on it. Whatever happens, I feel good about.
So are you going to start looking at trading that in or getting a new one now that it's your 100,000?
No, I need to go at least another year or two on it.
Okay. Okay. Some people are like, oh, I got 100,000 miles on there. Might as well trade it in and get something new.
No, man. If I can squeeze the blood out of this turnip, I'm going to.
I'm right there with you. That's what I'm trying to do with that bike. Trying to get it to 100,000 and then some.
If I can get it to 150, I feel that I'll be good with that.
Okay.
My wife's got 100 and something on 110 on hers.
Yeah, you can get 300 out of it easy.
Yeah.
You seem like the person that keeps up on the maintenance regularly, so
Usually, yeah.
you shouldn't have any problems.
Yeah. Best after 12 years of fighting, I won my appeal with the VA, and now I'm 100% permanent and total. Worst, had to pay my attorney $10K.
Damn.
That's wild that you should have to do that. Best was boys from Oklahoma this weekend. Worst, had to come back to reality today. Best, got my tattoo worked on. Worst, the back of the calf is painful and the healing process. Yeah. People talk about back of the calf, but it is not enjoyable.
It is not. I thought it'd be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And it was not fine, actually. It was terrible, but it came out all right. I'm doing the front, my shin, next week.
Really?
Ooh.
That's your second one this year.
Yeah, next Thursday, as a matter of fact, getting my shin done. And I hear that's bad news because it's right there on the bone.
Eek.
Same leg the calf is on?
Yeah, same leg. Wrap around this piece of artwork that we're
Are
working
you,
on.
I don't know how much to dig into this. Are you doing what you did last time with the artist, or are you doing something different? Where last time you gave him...
Yeah, carte blanche.
Yes.
I guess, yeah, same thing. Same thing. So, and he usually does pretty good about it. You know, it's nothing terrible or embarrassing or whatever. So he said, let's do it. Here's the date. I said, okay, fine.
Best of the weekend, I got to get my nude on at the nudist resort. The worst part of the weekend is I have to work half of the weekend. I had to work half the weekend. Good for you, man. If that's what you love, I'm glad you got to do what you love.
I don't know if I could.
I couldn't.
I don't know part of me is like, yeah, totally, man. And I guess maybe once the robe is off, you know, and it's here, you know, then that fear goes away. But it's unraveling the robe.
I think you could
That
3
first
shots
set.
in.
Yeah.
3 shots.
Of the three of us, I feel like you are the one I would expect to come back on a Monday and say you did that.
Probably.
Me?
No, Gimpy.
Gimpy, yeah, for sure.
Probably.
I feel like you would be like, yeah, it was awesome.
Try anything once. I mean, I guess.
Nope. We have established that is not true.
Right.
You won't try everything once.
Try almost anything.
There you go.
once.
Just saying.
Yeah.
As you get older, there's a little more asterisks you start adding.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna like
Asterisk.
6 of them.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
More of the Big Man Morning Show is next.
918-460-KMOD. You can also text BMMS and then what you want to say to 82945. Let's play a game. We got tickets to see Blink 182. They're going to be at the Walmart Amphitheater in Rogers, Arkansas on September 24th. Get your tickets, amptickets.com. And, all right, good. So, 918-460-KMOD. We're going to play Note Off. I will play 1 note of a famous song. If you guess it correctly, you are getting tickets to see Blink 182. Full disclosure, this is not a Blink 182 song.
What?
Just want to get that out of the way. I'll go ahead and play it right now to give you guys a chance. And then we'll go to the phones to see who's going to win the tickets to see Blink 182. One note of a famous song. You guess it correctly, you're getting tickets to see Blink 182. Let's go to the phones. Good morning, you're on the air. What is your name?
Chris.
Chris, how are you today, man?
Good.
Good. Here is the one note. What song is that?
Rooster.
Rooster by Alice in Chains. That's correct, man. Excellent job. You're getting those tickets to see Blink 182 at the Walmart Amphitheater in Rogers, Arkansas. Congratulations, man.
Sweet. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Good job, man.
Sweet. Thanks.
I knew it was going to be easy right away. I was like, I've found something interesting. I could show you this.
Yeah, we got.
I thought I had it. I don't have it anymore. But I was going to do a Foo Fighters song. Do you know how many Foo Fighters songs start almost all the same?
Oh.
With a downbeat and then like, dum, dum.
Okay.
It was fascinating. Anyway,
That's good. Let's
The
go with-
Last of Us. Did you guys watch it last night?
Yeah.
No.
You stayed up and
Yeah.
watched it.
I fell asleep, but
Wait, you fell asleep?
I did because, it was late and it was
What time
a long
did it start?
weekend. It's 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew it was on at 8 o'clock, and I have not watched it yet because I knew I would probably pull a Lindsay and fall asleep. Long weekend, but I have it recorded, ready to watch. I did catch a glimpse of it this morning because it was replay when I was getting ready and leaving for work, and I showed this old lady with a bag of weed, and I was like, okay, well. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, I gotta go. So I left.
Did you recognize who the lady with the bag of weed was?
That's that lady from Schitt's Creek, right?
SCHI. Yeah.
And
Best
then-
in Show.
Yeah, she's been
Bunch
on
of-
a
bunch
lot
of
of
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Home Alone's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. A bunch of things. Yeah. So how much of it do you watch? How much do you think you watched before you fell asleep?
15 minutes probably. It was probably right after the scene with her that I fell asleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it when I get home. I'm gonna watch it tonight or this afternoon, one of the two. And I got
Same.
that and Righteous Gemstones, both I need to watch.
All I know is the storms are brewing. The
Yeah.
Last of Us. For those that aren't aware, probably won't fall exactly like the game, but if it does, storms are brewing.
Fun.
Yeah. There was another show.
Ellie's got some attitude now. Like
She's always
big
had
time.
attitude.
Yeah, but she's even tougher than she was before.
She's got that
She's a
terrible teenage
badass.
attitude.
Yes.
It's because he lied to her.
Yes.
He lied to her.
Yes.
She thought she was immune, and he's lying. He lied to her and said that she wasn't.
I had read on the internet, so take it from what you want, but she recently found out she's slightly autistic and didn't know about it until somebody on the set had pointed it out.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, well, that's interesting. And now I was like, oh, okay, I guess.
Well, I mean, someone who's saying you're autistic and have autistic traits is not the same as being diagnosed as autistic.
Yeah, I don't know if she's been diagnosed or not.
A medical professional diagnosing you as autistic is different. Now, you may have some autistic tendencies.
Right.
And I'm not saying whether she is or isn't, but we do this a lot in society where we claim to be X, Y, or Z without having a doctor tell you are X, Y, or Z.
Right.
Right. Somebody could just be making fun of her and be like, I think you're slightly autistic.
Right. You have, yeah.
You're having a bad day on set or something.
We've known somebody and been like, I think they're kind of autistic.
Yeah.
And he went with it. He ran with it. And we're like, well, you should go see someone maybe there's some medicine. I don't know how all that works.
Right. He's just being him.
But I'm sure if somebody said, you've got some characteristic. There's a thing going on through social media with autistic stuff, and people are thinking they're autistic because somebody who is autistic is posting videos claiming if you have these, you're autistic.
Okay.
And so people are like, well, I wash my hand 100 times.
Right.
Now, that may be an autistic tendency.
Right.
That doesn't mean you're autistic.
Well, listen, it was told to me by a true autistic, so it has to be correct.
Right.
I mean, they're the ones that know.
Right. Sight unseen, they went ahead and told me I was because a video designed to get clicks
Right.
told me so.
Also an OCD trait. But
People
whatever.
do it with gluten too. They're like, well, so-and-so said because my tummy hurt after I had bread, then I have a gluten allergy.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So I'm excited to see Last of Us. There was a lot of talk about it this morning online and how the craziness of the episode was. So we'll see. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
Tulsa's Morning Show is coming right back. The Big Mad Morning Show. Tulsa's Rock Station. 97.
Good morning. It's the Big Man Morning Show. Coming up, Jeff Hensley from Hensley & Associates will join us. Get your question to us about family law. Bmms or whatever that is to 82945, or you can email show@kmod.com. Let's see what's in Gimpy's 4x4.
Well, Corbin, it says here that Blue Origin to launch all-female crew today. An all-female crew of celebrities will be aboard Blue Origin's next flight to the edge of space. The launch is set for today with pop star Katy Perry and co-host of CBS Morning's Gayle King among the 6 notables. They'll be joined by Bezos' fiancée and former journalist Lauren Sanchez, former NASA rocket scientist Alicia Bowie, and research scientist Amanda Wynn, and movie producer Carrie Ann Flynn.
Think Saturday Night Live sketch.
Yeah.
This feels like his wife was like, I want to go. You talk about how great it was.
Yeah.
I want to go and take my friends.
Right.
Yeah, sounds about right. Fine.
Fine, I will schedule a flight. Pick your friends.
Get a goddamn rocket up there for you. Hey, somebody get this bitch a rocket.
It feels a little bit like,
Right.
you got a day out, I want a day out.
Right.
The real question is this launch going to take off on time? Ooh.
Will there be wine?
They're not ready.
Right.
Yeah, right. They're not ready.
Man, we got 6. Where are these women at?
How much
TikTok.
luggage are they taking with them?
The part that'll be weird is when they think it should break and they're breaking, trying to be like, ah!
Right. Terrible, I say. What else we got
When
here?
they got to pee.
Yeah.
Will they be taking their Stanley Cup with them?
God, I hope so. That would be fantastic. U.S. and Iran to resume nuclear talks this week. The White House called the first round positive and constructive following Saturday's meeting between high-level U.S. and Iranian officials. The Wall Street Journal says Iran sought sanctions relief from the U.S. in exchange for limiting its nuclear program. Iran's foreign minister says another round of talks is scheduled for next Saturday and might include a framework for nuclear accord. Hooray. Trump says that he'll announce semiconductor tariffs this week. He made the announcement yesterday on board Air Force One, adding that there will be certain amount of flexibility for some companies. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick also said that semiconductors wouldn't be included in certain tariff exemptions that were announced on Friday for electronics like phones and computers. And then lastly here, measles outbreak in Oklahoma rises to 12 cases. The Oklahoma State Department of Health updated their total measles count on Friday. The 2 additional measles cases have been identified since last week, bringing the total number to 12. 9 of those cases have been confirmed, while 3 are still waiting on positive test results. Of the 3 potential cases, all showed symptoms consistent with the measles. The State Department of Health recently warned of potential exposure to measles at an Oklahoma City Aldi on Northwest Expressway. So, watch out.
Former LSU wide receiver Kyron Lacey is dead at the age of 24. Lacey reportedly took his own life Saturday night in Houston while being chased by police. According to the Harris County Sheriff's Office, police responded to a call from a family member who said Lacey had fired a gun during an argument before fleeing in a vehicle. The chase ended in a crash, and deputies say Lacey shot himself as they approached the car. He played 3 seasons at LSU after starting his career at Louisiana. His best season came last year when he caught 58 passes for 866 yards and a team-leading 9 touchdowns.
So this is different than the story that I heard. Because what I heard, okay, so back up to December. He's in a car accident, and then he flees the car accident. And when he flees the car accident, the person that he hit was an elderly man, and that person died later. He then has to turn himself in, which he does. Then he plays in the bowl game. Then he declares for the draft. All these things happen, right? And the story that was circulating was the guilt he was feeling, according to hearsay, other things, was that the guilt he was feeling, and he took his own life. The story you're saying is
Yeah.
a dramatically different story.
Yes.
Because the story that you're alluding to that was released was that he got in an altercation and was shot by police. Is that right?
No. He got into an argument with a family member, or he just got into an argument and he fired a gun during that argument, and the family member called police. He fled the scene in a vehicle. It ended in a police chase, and he shot himself.
So he did take his own
Yeah,
life.
he did take his own life.
How he did or the circumstances around it.
He shot himself.
No, the circumstances around
right,
why.
why? Yes.
Yeah. Whether it was guilt or maybe he felt like nothing was going right. He was on edge.
Yeah. Very sad.
Tragic.
It is.
He had such a good pro day, too, that he had elevated his draft stock to be like, they think he was going to be one of the top picks.
Yeah. That's your Balls to the Wall Sports. I'm Lindsay on 97.5 KMOD.
Balls to the Wall Sports is powered by the award-winning service of Groundworks Tulsa. More of the Big Mad Morning Show is next.
Tulsa's morning show, is coming right back.
Good morning. It's the Big Mad Morning Show. 918-460-KMOD. You can also text BMMS and then what you want to say to 82945. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Corbin. Win your way into our suite for Lincoln Park on April 28th at the BOK Center. When you make us your number one preset on the iHeartRadio app, take a screenshot and direct message it to us on Instagram at 97.5 KMOD to enter the contest. Remember, it has to be sent to our direct messages on Instagram, 97.5 KMOD. Good luck.
Good morning, Gimpy.
Well, good morning, Corbin. You just got your first keyword to rock the bank. That keyword was green, as in the color of money. You take that keyword, head on over to the website that rocks, KMOD.com. Could earn you $1,000. Now you've got 12 more chances throughout the day.
Time for Our Listeners Are Awesome, where we chat with the listener and they share part of their lives with us. And Amy is on the line. Hi, Amy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It says here that you have 4 kids. And tell me, how much free time do you get to yourself with 4 kids?
Well, my boys are grown. They are 22 and 18. And they both live with a friend right now.
So you really only have 2 at home.
Well, my dad and my stepmom have adopted my twins.
Okay.
So I got quite a bit of free time. I mean, I still see all the kids. But
yeah.
I still have my free time there.
Talk to me about the twins getting adopted by your grandparents.
Well, I had went to prison in 2011, and the girls were 8 months old, the twins. My aunt and uncle adopted them first. My aunt passed in 2016, same year I got out, and the girls were 5 or 6. They were just turned 5 that year, and that happened right after they went to school. So I was living with them at the time, and me and my uncle had some issues, so I ended up moving out, and then he wasn't able to take care of them for much longer because he already had one leg amputated some years before that and was working on getting the second one amputated. So it was a little hard for him to do everything with them. And my dad and my stepmom adopted them after that.
Okay, so you're not very old. And you,
No.
just a little bit you've told me is already a wild journey to be on. How old were you when you went to prison?
Let's see, I'm 38 now. Almost 9 years ago.
Okay. And what did you go to prison for?
Accessory to a robbery.
Uh-oh.
And child neglect.
Did you know you were going to be a part of a robbery?
I did.
Tell me, was it like a boyfriend you were with?
It was my twins' dad.
Okay. And
I just found out 2 weeks before that I was pregnant, and I was 12 weeks already. I wasn't even supposed to be able to carry any more kids. There was a big possibility that I could have another tubal, because I had one in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And or 2010. And so there's a big chance that I could have had another.
Yeah.
But the girls were conceived a day apart. So that was a big deal there.
I can only imagine you've replayed the conversations leading up to the robbery in your head a gazillion times.
Yes.
What sticks out in your memory from those conversations with your baby daddy before the robbery?
I knew about it for like 3 days ahead of time and had tried talking him out of it. Like, this isn't a good idea. Like, I'm kind of scared of what might happen. and we just found out that I'm pregnant. We didn't even know I was having twins yet. And I'm past 12 weeks, so there's some kind of reason here. And just talking to him for those 3 days, trying to talk him out of it, and he still wanted to go do it, and I was dumb enough to go with him. Well, you're going, I'm going with you.
Was this a person or a business that he wanted to go rob?
A business.
Oh.
A gas station.
Yeah.
Just one of those need some money fast sort of things?
Yeah, we had just moved into this trailer house, and it was still in our friend's mom's name, the utilities. So we was trying to get the electric switched over at the time, and just needed money for that, and I couldn't go get a job because I already had my youngest son living with us at the time also. So we was having issues with the friend's mom and had to get it done quick, and that was his solution.
Did you get the child neglect charge because you were pregnant?
No, I got that. I got out on probation for the robbery. I was on 2 years deferred, or 5 deferred, 2 supervised and 3 unsupervised. I just had to go get my GED and a job. The girls were in daycare, and my youngest son. And I had gotten in trouble again. The girls were only 8 months old whenever I got in trouble again. And that's what I got the child neglect for. Just being around wrong people at the wrong time.
Yeah. Yeah. How's that going now? Are you still hanging around with people that are bad news?
Absolutely not. I have cut so many people out of my life that, I can't be around any of that. I've got to be a better role model for my kids.
It says here that you do heavy machine at the landfill.
Yes.
That's not the name of a movie Lindsay's promoting at 9. That is, you work at an actual landfill?
Yes.
And what do you do?
I'm a skilled laborer, which I drive the haul trucks. We take dirt from the berm where we have a ton of trucks coming every day with dirt. I take all that dirt up top and dump it to cover the trash.
And have you ever seen anything crazy in the landfill?
The sex blow-up dolls.
A lot of people throw their sex dolls away?
Yes. And those things are so expensive if you look them up.
Are they? How much have you spent?
I haven't spent any.
Right.
Well, they're pretty cheap if you get them from the landfill.
Right. You might have a secondary market there, girl.
I don't know about that.
Have you ever not sex toys, but have you ever gotten out of the truck and gotten something from the landfill you've seen? You're like, oh, that might be worth something.
Yes. Just because it's something like, ooh, I kind of like to have that.
Like what?
And if it can be cleaned up and it's not too dirty, whatever, I'll put it in my truck.
What's the last thing you got that you remember?
I actually have a stuffed sloth, one of the bigger ones. And it's got Velcro on its hands.
So here you are moving dirt, moving trash around, which is a job that we need people to do. So I'm very grateful that you do it. And you see a stuffed animal and you go, ooh, and you hit the air brake. And then get out.
There was a huge, I didn't get the sloth from the trash up top. We have bins down at the bottom also. So that's where the hand unloads go.
Hey now.
So that's where the sloth was. And it was right there on top. I've gotten so many stuffed animals out of there. Puzzles that all the pieces were there.
Wow, that's lucky.
That's a.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, Amy, of all the things you've said so far, getting puzzles from the landfill has to be the most astounding because I lose puzzle pieces in my house.
Right.
Yes, yes. I give them to my girls because they love doing puzzles.
Yeah.
So they're always happy with that too.
Have you ever seen something disturbing?
Not a whole lot of disturbing things. I mean, to me anyway.
Well, like as an example, I drive that way a lot, so I'm by the landfill a lot. I see a lot of people taking their trash there, and I can count on two hands the number of times I've seen a trailer with a horse on it that they're taking to the landfill.
Yes, that was actually a time before I had started there, but I've heard about it. That somebody had tried to bring in a horse.
So you don't see like dead horses or dead dogs or anything like that?
No, we have to turn all the dead animals away, just because we can't take that.
Right. If somebody comes up and they want to drop it off and be like, hey, dispose of this for me, I get that. But if it's already in the trash, there's not much you could do about that, right?
Not really. I mean, I don't know really what we'd do in that kind of a situation.
Do the police ever show up there, like someone's hiding, or?
Yes.
Do they really?
There's been a couple of times, like there was a body that was found in the Bird Creek, and the police had to come through there to get the body out of the creek. And then there, of course, unfortunately, he was not alive.
Right.
By the time they got him. So, and there was another time that a couple of people have ran from Fiesta Mart through the landfill, and some of that mud through there is like you will sink into it without realizing it until you've already stepped in it. So their shoes were left behind there.
Right. Do you ever have to give the police a ride, like in a dozer or something like that? Do you have to give them a ride, or they just kind of go in their own cars?
I think they kind of go in their own cars, because you can still drive through there pretty easy. So. And
there's a lot of fires out there too, right?
Yeah, I've worked a couple different fires. The first one wasn't quite long hours. It was pretty easy to put out there.
Well, how do you put it out? What do you have to do if there's a fire? I need you to do me a favor too, by the way. Can you turn your radio down?
Yes.
Because what do you have to do to put out a fire?
So we got a guy pushing the dozer, or on the dozer, and he pushes the trash to kind of try to smother the fire. And I take the dirt and dump it as close to the fire as I can for them to try to smother it that way also.
Does a landfill fire smell different than a regular fire?
Yes. It does not smell very good at all.
Yeah, I can imagine.
No.
I worked at a chicken farm, and when I worked at the chicken farm, the clothes I wore there smelled like the chicken farm. I had to throw them out. Do you have clothes that smell like the dump?
Mine never really stuck to my clothes like that, because I'd take them home and wash them immediately. And it didn't really smell like that the next day.
Okay, good. That's good news.
Yeah.
It says here that you've learned some skill sets by working out at the landfill. Like hunting, trapping, and skinning animals. Do you guys hunt, trap, and skin a lot of animals at the landfill?
It's outside of work hours, of course. But we have. There's been deer, raccoons, possums, beavers, coyotes.
And is this just recreation at the landfill that you're like hunting these animals, or is this a necessity, or how do you guys does one decide they need to hunt possum at the landfill?
We have a guy that is he does taxidermy, so he was doing all of that for that purpose.
Okay, to get good at being a taxidermist.
Yes. So I was kind of helping. And before I kind of started watching them and skinning the animals and everything, I could not even look at gory things like that. And I kind of got used to it and was able to help more. So that was pretty cool experience there.
And what do you own any taxidermied animals in your house?
I do not.
Is there one you'd like to have?
There's a few. I like a bobcat, just because they're so pretty. A fox. I did have a coyote tail from one of the coyotes we had skinned.
What happened to it?
Well, that was one that he had gotten for his taxidermy.
Right. And so you had it and he was like, hey, do you still have that coyote tail?
Well, as he was skinning it, like you got the tool that just kind of strips the whole tail, and it didn't get the last 4 or 5 inches of it. So I was like, he was just going to leave it on there, and I'm like, hey, let me have that. So I had it just sitting in my windshield for a long time. And one of the fires, I was driving up and down the road so fast that it blew out my window. I found it the next day. And that second fire that we had, I did the same thing, flying up and down that road, trying to go so fast to get things done. And it flew out the window again, and I never found it since then.
Amy, you've experienced a lot of things that I will never experience, but I think my favorite one is that I will never experience is driving down the road and a coyote tail flying out the window. That's something that I will never be able to say. I feel pretty good. That's never going to happen in my life.
Yep.
Tell me what you do for fun when you're not taxiderming and hunting possum. And working at the landfill. What do you do for fun? What brings you joy?
Me and my best friend, we go play pool. We'll sit around, listen to music, and just kind of joke around a lot.
Do you have your own stick?
I have a few. No, I don't have my own pool stick.
Okay, because I was going to ask if you have a name for it.
No.
If you were going to have a pool stick, if you're going to have your own cue, what would you call it?
I'm not real sure.
Okay. Final question I have for you, Amy, is what was your trade in prison? What'd you do?
I did a lot of drawing in there. I was just able to focus more in there.
Do you still draw?
It's harder for me to focus out here like it was in there. So I've tried, and I've gotten a little further on some of my drawings, but I just can't finish them too much. I was also an ABE tutor and clerk after I got my GED.
Okay.
I did that up until a few months of me getting out.
Amy, what were some of your best drawings of?
We did a 12-page banner of Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
I did not think that's what I was going to hear you say.
Another one that was my favorite was one I had drawn for my mom for her birthday. Her birthday's on Valentine's Day. Was a fairy. And I've never drawn people, like the faces or anything before that. So that was kind of an experiment, but it turned out pretty well. I mean, I can look back on it now and see, some of the things I could correct on it and do better. But that was another one of my favorites.
Well, it sounds like drawing brings you a lot of joy. I hope you can get back to it, and even if you find 5 minutes a day to do it, I think you should try to do that. I think that's going to give you a lot of joy. Thank you so much for talking with us and sharing part of your life. And good luck on the hunt for the next stuffed sloth, or maybe live one.
That would be awesome.
All right, girl. Thank you so much, Amy. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, see you later. So our listeners are awesome. We'll take a break and we'll be back.
The Big Mad Morning Show returns next. Tulsa's Morning Show, 97.5 KMOD.
Good morning. It's the Big Mad Morning Show. 918-460-KMOD. Can also text BMMS and then what you want to say to 82945. Now, I am not a Minecraft guy, but the movie has been massive.
Yeah.
It took $150 million to make, and it's already in 2 weeks has made $550 million.
Wow.
It is a massive movie. For those who don't know, Jack Black plays the, quote, main character, which is the character in it that does most of the stuff with the beard and stuff. And if you haven't had a chance, go down the rabbit hole of watching Chicken Jockey show up in the movie. Now, for the uneducated, I didn't know this. I had to educate myself. Chicken Jockey is a very rare character in the movie. There are in the game. There are certain times it can show up, and even if it could, the chance of it showing up is very, 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 very slim. But it's a big deal. And it's such a big deal that when it happens in the movie, people are going crazy.
Oh.
Throwing popcorn, everybody yells Chicken Jockey. Some people are even bringing live chickens.
Oh,
That's a
my.
little weird. That's a little weird.
And the police are having to show up. One guy was telling a story about how the manager of the movie theater came in and said, if there's going to be any trouble here, you guys are going to have to go home. Not on my watch. And, of course, Chicken Jockey shows up. They stop the movie. They make everybody leave. To which, I don't know why I have a big problem with this, but I do. That people are stopping because people are acting. This has happened in tons of movies.
Right. Rocky Horror Picture Show is one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
It happens in The Sound of Music, for goodness sake.
Right?
Right? Maybe not as much debauchery, but still, them making people stop is making it a bigger deal.
Right.
And the other funny thing is to watch reactions of people who don't know what Chicken Jockey is and so they're at the movie thinking, enjoying the movie, and then Chicken Jockey happens, and then them seeing the chaos ensue when Chicken Jockey shows up.
Yeah, I'd seen a couple of these videos. I thought it was part of the movie, like Rocky Horror, right, where they're throwing toast and hot dogs at. I thought that was part of it. I didn't know that they were doing it on their own.
I mean, even in Rocky Horror, you're doing it on your own. People just started doing it.
Right.
But nonetheless, it's already in 2 weeks the second biggest, make sure I get this right, video game adaptation into a movie.
Fun.
What do you give me one you think should be on this list?
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil is the final chapter is number 12 on the list. Afterlife is number 13. Retribution is 18. Extinction's 23. Apocalypse is 26. The original's 29.
That was my first one that came to mind.
Okay.
Let's go with Mortal Kombat.
Oh.
Mortal Kombat. I don't remember the movie, but I'm familiar with the game.
Yeah, they've had a couple of movies.
And I'm looking for it. It is not in the top 25. There it is, 27.
Ah.
Another one, Lindsay.
How about Last of Us? It's not a movie, though.
Not a movie. So,
Right.
do you have a movie? Video game that's been made into a movie.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Great guess. Number 3 is number 3.
Oh.
Sonic the Hedgehog number 3 is 3. 2 is number 8, and 1 is number 11.
Okay. Mario.
Super Mario Brothers movie, which is a great movie. 1.3 billion it has made. It is number 1. It is a great movie for a video game adaptation.
Right. At that time, it was great. You look back at it now, and you're like, this is a turd.
No, it came out in 2023, just 2 years ago.
Oh, see, I forgot about that Mario movie. I was thinking about the one from the it was like 92 or something like that. I totally forgot about that.
With John Leguizamo?
Yeah, where Jack Black was Bowser in that one. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. That first one, though, was
1993. Yeah, no, it was a turd.
I'm like, how did that movie become number 1?
Yeah.
Name alone?
Yeah, it made.
But okay.
Yeah, it made 38 million,
Okay.
and its budget was 48. So that movie was a.
Oh, yeah, it was terrible. Where does Need for Speed land on that list? because there was a Need for Speed video game or a video game and movie.
Yeah.
The movie had Jesse Pinkman, whatever, the guy from Breaking Bad.
It is number 19.
Okay. And the movie was terrible.
So, Super Mario Brothers, the movie, number 1. Minecraft, number 2. Sonic Hedgehog 3, number 3. Pokemon Detective Pikachu 4. Warcraft, number 5. Rampage, number 6.
Okay.
Uncharted.
Uncharted was a good game. It was all right. I didn't know there was a movie.
Yeah, number 7. Hedgehog 2 is number 8. Angry Birds, the movie.
I forgot about the Angry
Number
Birds.
9. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, number 10. Original Sonic Hedgehog 11. And there's one I want to make sure I hit, and that is Five Nights at Freddy's, number 14.
Oh, man. I can't even play that game. Have you ever played that, Gimpy?
No.
Yeah.
It looks terrible.
Have you?
Yeah, it's stupid.
It's scary as hell.
It's scary as hell. Okay.
Yes, it's full
6,
of
maybe?
jump scares.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you consider jump scares scary, then yeah, okay. Tomb Raider, 16.
Yeah.
Lara Croft,
yeah.
15. Assassin's Creed, 17. Those are the I'm trying to find like the big ones that Gran Turismo, 28.
That's right.
Hitman, great game, 30.
Great series of movies as well, yeah.
Street Fighter, 33. Max Payne, another great movie from back in our game, 34. Yeah. Doom,
Doom with Arnold, right?
41.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking here to see if there's any others that stick out. Monster Hunter, 48. Lots of Resident Evils. I think collectively, series-wise, Resident Evil.
Oh, yeah. There's been so many
There's
of them.
so many of them. But Pokemon has done huge, man. Sonic the Hedgehog has done huge. Over $1 billion with just probably the same amount that number 2 is. Minecraft's got, the number 1's got 1.3 billion. All the Sonics can bit together about 1.3.
Wow.
Massive movie, the Super Mario Brothers movie is.
They won't make a movie off of Grand Theft Auto or anything like that.
I could see that.
I could see it. It would work out perfectly. But they have not made one yet.
They could. That'd have to be like Ryan Reynolds, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it would do well.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
Tulsa's Morning Show, the Big Mad Morning
Good morning. It's the Big Mad Morning Show, 918-460-KMOD. You can also text BMMS. Then what you want to say to 82945. We typically don't talk about golf, but yesterday, Rory McIlroy has one of the most unbelievable performances ever in the Masters. And he hasn't won the Masters ever in his career, and he's already considered one of the better golfers, but this felt like it could get away from him. He had his first day he played horrible, and then the rest of the time he played pretty well. That gave him the lead. At one point he was 4 strokes ahead, if not more, on Sunday.
Dang.
And then has to play in a sudden death to win it. He had probably, I think it was on 13, he had the worst shot of his career. Like, it was slipping away from him. And then he turns around and has a couple of the best shots of his career. And I can't play golf. I'm not very good at it. I do enjoy playing it once in a while. But it has to be the most emotionally stable game out there.
Okay.
You have to be so, and maybe this is, I don't know anything about disc golf, so maybe this is where it's very different from disc golf. You have to be so emotionally clear.
Right.
You have to be able to overcome adversity.
Oh, yeah, for sure, because one bad shot will ruin the rest of your day. Same thing with disc golf or ball golf, man. You get one that shakes off into the woods, you're like, God damn it, you can try it again, and then you F it up again, it will ruin a game.
I mean, I think that happens in every sport, right? Where you have like one at bat or one lift or one run or whatever. But golf just constantly berated. Amazing, right? So he wins. He cries. It was a really unbelievable moment in sports. It might be the sports moment of the year. And I go down the rabbit hole because his best friend since they were 7 is his caddy.
Wow.
They learned to play golf together. Yeah. And caddies make about $2,000 a week, which feels like a lot, but he has to pay all of his own expenses.
Right.
And then he gets a cut of percentage of wins. So yesterday, Rory takes $4.2 million, and the caddy gets 10% of that. It's a sliding scale, but on average, about 10%. So he'll get about $420,000.
That ain't bad for hauling around some golf clubs.
No.
Well, it's more than that.
Right.
Because he attributes his caddy, who's his best friend since they were 7, turning to him and getting him his mind right when they went into the playoff.
Right.
To win it all. But it was a really crazy moment to see. Even afterwards, when he's getting the jacket, he's crying. Nike did a really cool commercial for him that he won. It was pretty awesome.
Take that, Scotty. Oh, let's see. The Ohio State football team is going to visit the White House today. President Trump is planning to congratulate the Buckeyes for winning the national championship back in January. OSU defeated Notre Dame to take home the title following the first ever 12-team college football playoff. Ohio State President Ted Carter previously said he planned to join Coach Ryan Day and the team for the trip to Washington. And 12-time NBA All-Star Chris Paul made some history on the final day of the regular season. The San Antonio Spurs guard and 20-year league veteran became the first player to start all 82 games this deep into a career. The 39-year-old joins Michael Jordan and John Stockton as one of 3 players to have a season with 82 appearances at his age. Paul is also the 11th player in NBA history to play 20 seasons in the league. And that's your Balls to the Wall Sports. I'm Lindsay on 97.5 KMOD.
Balls to the Wall Sports is powered by the award-winning service of Groundworks Tulsa. More of the Big Mad Morning Show is next.
KMOD. You can also text BMMS and then what you want to say to 82945. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Corbin. Happy 36th porn star birthday to Miss Sydney Page. Watch this Oklahoma girl in Chronic Masturbator. Old school MILFs, and those aren't Easter eggs.
Good morning, Gimpy.
Well, good morning, Corbin. We're getting closer and closer to Rocklahoma 2025, Labor Day weekend, Prior USA, Five Finger Death Punch, Shinedown, 311, a lot more. You can get your full lineup and your link for tickets at the website that rocks, KMOD.com.
Joining us now is Jeff Hensley from Hensley & Associates. Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, good morning.
Jeff's here to answer any question you have about divorce, custody, guardianship, name change, really anything that has to do with family law. Excuse me. And the phone number is 918-460-KMOD. You can text BMMS and then whatever your question is to 82945. Or you can email it to show@kmod.com. And that is what I got from Jacob. Jacob's question is about property. So he says he understands if you not sure what the answer will be. He says, my dad passed away years ago and left some land behind with no will. Nobody else in the family wants the land, and I'm the only child. I've been paying taxes and maintaining it, but I'm told I need to put it in probate. I can't afford an attorney and struggle with the legal aid application. Any advice, including where I can talk to someone for legal aid in person, is appreciated. I feel like it's a two-part question.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, when it comes to the property stuff, I mean, you can get that land, but yeah, I mean, if someone's passed away, you're going to have to put put them through probate, their estate, that kind of thing. I mean, we can help with that, but if you don't have the funds for it, legal aid is the way to go. I don't know what he's struggling with the application, but I'll tell you, whoever this is, if you want to call my Pawhuska office or even our Tulsa office, we can walk you through that, help you with that application, just because it's the right thing to do to help you out. Or, as far as there's other groups out there that help with low-income legal issues and those sort of things. So if you give my office a call, we can walk you through those as well. But, the big thing is when someone dies like that without a will, or even if they do have a will, it has to be put through probate. Now, if it's in a trust, it may not have to go through probate. It just depends. But for the most part, will or no will, it's still got to go through probate for it to be legally handled correctly. So you're still going to put that in the court system whether you like it or not.
And probate will do things like execute the deed and transfer it over and things like that, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Any state or legal documents have to be probated to obtain them in your name.
Correct.
And as far as wanting it or needing it to put to probate, if you want to follow the rule and get the documents, that's the way you do it. But really, it's about people making it clear it's yours. And if no one wants to fight you on it, you could absolutely not file probate and take your chances.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't want to do that because down the road, then you could run into all sorts of title issues and this, that, and the other. So, do it right the first time. And I know that sounds, what is it? Measure twice and cut once, right? It's kind of that idea. It's kind of the same thing. I mean, you want to make sure you do it right the first time because if you screw it up down the road, it's probably going to cost you 3 to 4 times what it would have cost to get it done right the first time.
Jeff Hensley from Hensley & Associates is in the studio. If you have a question, get it over to us, 918-460-KMOD, or you can text BMMS and whatever that question is to 82945. You can email show@kmod.com. Someone says, the other parent has stopped paying child support. I already have a court order, but nothing's being enforced. What can I do to make them pay? And what happens if they still don't?
Well, so what we do in those situations is then we file with the court a contempt citation stating that they were to pay a certain amount per month. They're failing to do that. They are X number of dollars behind. So then we hold them in contempt of court. Now, contempt of court, like in Tulsa County, for example, all right, they have something, and I've talked about this before, but it's been a while, so we'll go through it. It's called the rocket docket, okay? And it sounds funky to call it that and a little bit crazy, but we call it that because you file the contempt. Within a couple weeks, you're in front of the judge on an arraignment. An arraignment is meaning, this is a quasi-criminal proceeding because they could potentially face jail time for their failure to pay. So that's why we call it a quasi-criminal proceeding, all right, where they have to show up and plead not guilty. All right, now, when I say that, no one's allowed to plead guilty right then in arraignment, all right, and just real quick, whenever and this is one thing about the news people that kind of drive me nuts. And I'll say this very gently, but I will say whenever they put these news on these big murders that are at the arraignment and they plead not guilty. Oh my God, how could they have done that? They clearly did it. There was blood on their hands and okay, look, they're only allowed to plead not guilty in arraignment, okay? So that's sensationalism, all right? So be careful with that. So arraignment, not guilty, and then they immediately set a hearing within 30 days. That's why we call it a rocket docket, because it's handled very quickly. Now, other counties can sometimes do it that fast. Sometimes they can. Just depends on the county. But with that being said, we can hold him in contempt of court and force him to pay. And if he doesn't pay, then he will go to jail. And if he doesn't show up for the arraignment, he gets a bench warrant for his arrest. If he doesn't show up for the hearing in 30 days, he gets a bench warrant for his arrest, and the cops can arrest him. So we have ways to make him pay and hold him accountable.
This text has an interesting question we've never gotten. I think I know the answer, but I'm excited to hear what you're going to say. Jeff Hensley from Hensley & Associates is in the studio. If you have a question about family law, he can answer it. A couple ways to get your question to us. BMMS and whatever that is to 82945. That's how we got this one. It's out of your area of practice, but I know you're going to have an opinion on it. I have a malpractice case in Kansas and Oklahoma, and I can't find a lawyer who's dual licensed.
Good luck. Most of us aren't. I mean, are there people out there dual licensed? Absolutely. A lot of times what happens with dual licensure is that they have come from another state into Oklahoma, so they have a license in both states. Oklahoma does have reciprocity with other states. Not all states, but a vast majority of them. Most of us aren't going to get a license outside of Oklahoma unless we just plan to, like, for example, I know people who are semi-retired or older, and they'll take 2 months off in a year and go live in New Mexico. And so they'll get a New Mexico license just because they're out there several months a year or whatever. Finding a dual licensure. Now, sometimes if you can find a lawyer that is in a town that is on the border between Oklahoma and Kansas, a lot of times they will have dual licenses. Just like down in Fort Smith, Arkansas, right on the border there, a lot of them have dual licenses, so they can practice in the Oklahoma counties right next to Fort Smith, which is like Poto and those areas down there, just because they're so close together. So sometimes you'll get dual licensures because of the locations. But if they're further, I'm going to say further inland in the state, like Tulsa and Oklahoma City and some others, you probably aren't going to find somebody dual licensed. Just because there's no need for us to have a license in a state that we don't practice in, because that's extra money that we would just pay. And, we don't get a kick. Most of us don't get a kick off of saying licensed in 50 states. I mean, it just doesn't help us.
And if you have a malpractice case in Kansas, potentially those would be two separate, or can you have the same case in both states?
Well, and that's what I don't know. That it's when he said that, it was a little strange because I would want to know more. In fact, whoever this is, please call me. I would be happy to walk you through it. I've got other attorneys that I can refer you to that maybe know dual licensed plaintiffs attorneys. Call me this week. I'd be happy to help. But yeah, it's a little weird. I don't know why he said he's got malpractice suits in Oklahoma and Kansas. Maybe they're two separate. Maybe they're the same because the doctor has dual licensure and his practices in both areas. I don't know. We'd have to find out with a call.
And your best bet you could get a lawyer from each state,
yeah, I mean,
right?
if worse comes to worse, you could get two different lawyers. And sometimes, if they're really close to the border, maybe they can work things out as far as how they handle the dealing with the plaintiff's case. But, again, call me. I'm always happy to try and help people figure out what they need.
Yeah, and that's the point here, is that if you need help in any law scenario, Jeff can help. And on the air, we just do family law stuff. If you got to get your question to us, a couple ways, 918-460-KMOD, or you can text BMMS and whatever that question is to 82945, or you can email show@kmod.com. This one has to do with adoption. It says, I want to adopt, but I'm not sure where to start. What's the difference between private agency, foster care adoption? How long does it take? What kind of background checks? Are there home studies? What should I expect?
Well, it all depends on what kind of adoption we're doing. If you're doing a step-parent adoption versus a non-step-parent adoption. So, step-parent adoption means that you're a step-parent and you want to adopt the child that your new spouse has. Of course, there's particular requirements there. Those are typically done by private attorneys. There are adoption agencies. A lot of the agencies nowadays deal with overseas adoptions. I don't know much about them because those deal with the Hague Convention and all those other things, and I don't do out of U.S. overseas adoptions. But I do know some people that do. If you're interested, please give me a call. I can refer you to them. You've got these adoptions where you'll find maybe there's a young girl at church who is pregnant and is going to have a baby and is going to give it up. And you want to adopt that child for whatever reason. We can do those. Those deal with the issue of, terminating the rights to both parents so that you can become the adoptive parents. Of course, you've got the issue of, do you have any felonies in your background? Do you have any misdemeanors in your background? Has OSBI or DHS done any investigations? You can't be a felon, a major felon, and adopt. It just doesn't work that way. But there are caveats, and there are different areas where we can look at all those. It's very involved. So, whoever this is, please call me. I'd like to go over it. We just don't have enough time on the show to go over every aspect of every single agency and everything as it goes.
What about if my aunt wants me to adopt her kid? Can I just do that at the kitchen table?
No, you can't do that at the kitchen table, and I'm glad you brought that up. And it sounds funny, but
it happens a lot.
It happens a lot, and it's not really. I don't know if they consider themselves adopting the kid, but they definitely consider themselves taking over as parent. And the problem with that is that unless you've got a power of attorney or a guardianship or an adoption on that kid, you have no legal rights to that child. So even though Ann can say, here, Corbin, I want you to take, Susie Joe because I can't handle her, I'm a drug addict, blah, blah, blah. I think it's awesome you're willing to take that kid. But understand, you can't put that kid in school. You can't take them to the doctor. You can't make legal decisions for them in any way, shape, or form because you have no document that says you can do that. That's why we do power of attorneys. That's why we do guardianships. That's why we get the adoptions done. In the old days, they would do the across-the-table thing, and it was very different, okay? The way the law was and how everything was handled 50, 60, 70 years ago, very different than we do today. Everybody needs documents these days. So if you've got that problem, give me a call. Godparent
comes to mind as we're talking about this. People think because you deem them the godparent that they get to take care of them should something happen to you.
Right. Well, and again, as I've discussed before, that's nothing more than a nomination of guardian. So basically, you're pre-nominating somebody before you die. In case something does happen, you're nominating that person as the guardian. But that nominee still has to file a guardianship with the court. So it's more involved than we've ever thought.
Jeff Hensley from Hensley & Associates is in the studio. If you have a question, you can email it show@kmod.com. You can text BMMS and whatever that question is to 82945. Or you can call 918-460-KMOD like Christy has done. Good morning, Christy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's your question for Jeff Hensley of Hensley & Associates?
My daughter has a little girl, and she's 9 years old now. She has the father's last name, but he has never been in the picture or ever paid child support. What do we need to do to get her name changed?
So we can do a name change. It's not a problem. The question, we do have to give Dad notice of the name change. And the question is do we know where Dad is? Is Dad alive? Is he dead in a gutter? Is he moved out of state?
No, we don't know where he is, but
Okay.
we know where his family is. We can get in touch with his family.
The reason I ask is the law requires this when you're dealing with the minor child name change is you have to give the both parents notice of what's going on. They have a right to object. Now, the thing is if for some reason we don't know where he is or we can't find him, or let's say his family doesn't even know where he is, we can still publish in the newspaper to meet the notice requirement and still make the name change happen. That's not a problem. So if you'll give your name and number to Gimpy, I can give you a call this week and we can walk you through it and get it done for you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hang on the line.
And that's a very common issue. I get these calls all the time about these kind of name changes where one parent disappears into the ether and they want to change names. We can get them done. Just give us a call. Absolutely, we can help. And if you're over 18 and want to change your name, we can help you with that too, as long as it's not a swear word, because the courts won't allow it.
What do they deem as a swear word? Without you giving examples.
Well,
because
I always get confused what you guys allow
Yeah.
and don't allow. And I know my wife might be listening and get mad at me. So,
well, I don't want you in trouble with your wife.
Well, I'm just saying. My point is if it's a known cuss word of some sort that is used in the normal vernacular of the American human being, obviously they're not going to let you use those kind of names. That's you just can't. Just like license plates. think it was Tulsa World, it was about 3 to 6 months ago, published a whole article on the license plates that weren't issued because of what they were. So if you can't change your name to those kind of things, but otherwise, if you want to change it from Bob to Bill or Robert to James, whatever, we can help you with that. No problem.
The spectrum of requests you get is always fascinating.
That's right.
Jeff Hensley from Hensley & Associates
is entertainment.
Is in the studio. If you have a question about divorce or custody, guardianship, any family law, he is here to answer those questions. 918-460-KMOD. You can email show at KMOD.com, or you can text BMMS and whatever that question is to 82945, like this one. My 16-year-old daughter got served with a protective order from her ex-boyfriend. It states in the paperwork it's for stalking and harassment. This all happened after she broke up with him, after he got upset with her and grabbed her, causing bruises. Court is K County. Will we need representation for her on this?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to send it. First of all, getting teenager protective orders like that, the parent has to get the protective order on behalf of the minor child. And yes, they're 16, but they're still kids under the law. All right. So, getting those kind of protective orders, you can do them. I've done it. I've been on that side. But at the same time, too, you need representation, obviously, to overcome the claims. And if she was assaulted and bruised and stuff, there needs to be a police report made and all sorts of stuff. I mean, the other side's kind of playing with fire, and you need representation. So whoever this is, please call my office in Pawhuska or call our Tulsa office. We can hook you up with them. We represent people in K County. We'd be happy to help you with that.
Two things I wanted to ask you about that. And one of them is, if nothing was done, like a police order, a police report or anything like that, and you're saying it after the fact, does that hold any weight?
Well, it does, but at the same time, the problem is with making reports after the fact is if she had bruising to begin with, it may be gone. And then it might look retaliatory. So, that's why when things happen, you need to make those reports then and not wait in case something like this down the road does happen. Now, a protective order against a 16-year-old kid, if it were to be granted for some reason, okay, that affects her moving forward with her life. From colleges to jobs to all sorts of things, because employers don't like hiring people that have permanent 5-year protective orders against them, okay, because their immediate thoughts are going to be, oh, this person is violent. I don't want violence in the workplace. So, it can affect people's lives drastically when you file these kind of things.
The other thing that I wanted to ask you, and this is just a personal opinion question, is that if someone files a protective order against me, short of it being somebody I have to be around and work with, have a child with, I'm not fighting it. Go ahead and put a protective order on me. I'm not going to argue that I should be able to see you.
So what's your question?
Should you be fighting if someone puts a protective order on you?
Yes,
should you go to court and fight it?
I think you should, and here's why. Okay, you can sit back and say, okay, I don't care, do what you want. But again, it will affect your life in some way, all right? It could affect your job. So if, say, you're in a job, you've been there for a while, and now you've got a 5-year protective order against you. Remember, Oklahoma's an at-will state. Adios, amigo. All right? Applying for new jobs. Again, people don't want to hire people that have permanent 5-year protective orders or longer on them because, again, the thought is not a good place for a person to work. It affects your life all around. Yeah, you don't want to see them. That's fine. But at the same time, too, if you've got a kid with them, you're going to have to interact with them in some way. And now we're going to have to do a carve-out that allows for, exchanges and things like that. You do what you want to do, but my suggestion from a legal standpoint and based on what I've done for almost 20 years of doing this, I wouldn't do it. It affects too many other areas of your life to have a permanent protective order against you.
Jeff Hensley from Hensley & Associates is in the studio. Billy's on. He's got a question about child support. Go ahead, Billy. You're on with Jeff Hensley of Hensley & Associates.
Hey, I got a question. My daughter is supposed to be 15 years old. Her mother's hasn't been in her life for part of the last 4 or 5 years. And, I owe child support and everything. But my daughter lives with her grandmother that she pretty much has raised, her whole life.
So, Mom, go ahead. I think I know where you're going, but go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
The mother acts like she doesn't want to have anything to do with her. She got her a husband, and she just basically wants to live the married, no kids life. And, like, the daughter's grandma wants to keep throwing it up in my daughter's face that, you know, her aunt's dying and this, that, and the other, just to try to get her to stay with her. But my daughter wants to be, you know, she's done said that she wants to come live with me and my family, you know, my wife and kids
so what we
and
need
whatnot.
Right. So what we need to do is we need to file so we can get you custody of your child, and your child is over the age of 12, so her preference is going to be taken into consideration. And also the fact that mom's dumped her off at grandma's house and refuses to actually be a mom. So with that being said, this can be easily done based upon the facts you're telling me right now. So if you give your name and number to Gimpy, I will call you today or later this week, and we'll get it all going for you, because that's an easy thing to do when the child is wanting to be there. Plus, mom's not wanting to be a mom. Mom doesn't care, because if mom did care, she wouldn't dump her off at grandma's. So we can help out with that. So give your number to Gimpy.
Yeah, all right, Billy. Hang on a second. You can talk to Gimpy, and Jeff will call you. Ann is on. Ann, what's your question for Jeff Hensley of Hensley and Associates? Ann, are you there?
I'm here.
Go ahead. What's your question?
If my daughter's dad has, I don't know if he has legal rights to her. His name is on her birth certificate, but he was in prison when she was born. And so he comes around now, but we've never been to court. We've never gotten lawyers. We've never had a custody agreement. So my question is, if he wants to take her out of town and I tell him no, how can I keep that from happening?
You don't send her with him. I mean, here's the thing. You and he were never married, right?
Correct.
So under the law, since November 1st of 2011, the law has been, and I paraphrase, under Title 10, subsection 7700, you look at the very last law, it says, and I, again, paraphrase, mom's got sole custody till dad does something about it in a court of law. So in other words, if you don't want her to go, she doesn't have to go, which means you don't have to send her. And if he, says, makes threats and this, that, and the other, he can go pound sand because he doesn't have any legal rights to her under the law in the state of Oklahoma. So, and he has no legal, there's no court ordered visitation or anything like that. So if you don't want her to go, don't send her. Where's he wanting to take her anyway?
He wants to take her to see his family in another state.
Which state is that?
Georgia.
Yeah, it's pretty fur, as the old
What
saying goes.
does she do when the confrontation happens and he pushes back? Does she call the police? Like, how does she handle that?
Well, define pushing back. I mean, if he physically assaults you...
Shows up to take her.
Right. If he shows up to take her, tell him to pound sand, and if he doesn't go away, call the cops and have him dragged off your property. I mean, it's really that simple. I mean, I know it doesn't sound that way when we're thinking about it in just our heads maybe, but the fact is you have custody under the law. There's no custody arrangement ordered by the court. There's no custody ordered for him. He doesn't have any rights to her at this point. If you don't want her to go, keep her in the house, lock the door, tell him to pound sand, and if he doesn't go away, call the cops. He's trespassing, have him dragged off your property.
Is that only because they were never married, or because he was
Because he was never married. The fact he was in jail is not relevant.
Okay.
The fact he was in jail is completely not relevant to the situation. It's because they had a child out of wedlock. They were not married.
Whether he was present that day or not is not important.
Exactly. And even if he's on the birth certificate, even if his name's on there and he signed an acknowledgement, that only gives a presumption in the state of Oklahoma that he's dad. That doesn't give him any rights.
Even if he's paying child support.
Even if he's paying child support.
Had visitation and contact.
Even if he's had visitation and contact, that does not give him rights to her in any way, shape, or form. Unless you have a document from a judge, signed by a judge, stamped with a file stamp from a county, he can go pound sand.
That's great. Thank you.
Good luck, Ann. Good luck. Thank you so much. That's fascinating. All right, last one. Joe, what's your question for Jeff Hensley of Hensley and Associates?
My wife was a heroin addict at one time. She got clean, thank God. But at that time, 3 years ago, she dropped her children off at her grandma's house and still has not picked them up. Now she's saying that she can go get them anytime that she wants. Is that true or no? Because the grandma doesn't want the kids to have.
Okay,
to be with her.
So does grandma have a power of attorney or a guardianship in place?
She does not.
Then mom can go get kids anytime she wants.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, good luck, Joe. And grandma could go get a power of attorney at any time?
Well, so remember, power of attorney is granted by mom or dad to give them authorization to do medical or, school or whatever. What's really more, and I shouldn't have said POA, I should have just jumped to guardianship. unless grandma's got a guardianship that she is the legal guardian of those kids because mom and dad are unfit in some form or whatever, parents can go get those kids anytime they want. I mean, just because you drop the kids off somewhere doesn't mean that that person now has complete control unless they have a guardianship in place. So, grandma may not like it, but, grandma's had time to get a guardianship, and she could still get a guardianship if she thinks that mom is unfit in some way. But, yeah, otherwise, grandma has got to give them up.
Listen, all these situations are uniquely different, and yours will be uniquely different. You find yourself in that situation. That's why you need to have an attorney to help represent you and to answer your questions. Jeff and the folks at Hensley & Associates are able to give you a free consultation just because you're listening to him on KMOD. Call 918-398-5692 for Hensley & Associates and mention KMOD. Get that free consultation over the phone. 918-398-5692. It doesn't matter if it's something in another state or you find yourself outside of family law. Jeff and the folks at Hensley & Associates are there to help, and they have another practice that can help in other areas of the law.
Right, so through our Prohuska office, and again, don't worry about the location. We work in conjunction. The attorney that works up there also works in our Tulsa office. But if you got anything in addition to family laws, if you've got criminal issues, probate, you need a will or a trust drafted, if you've got a contract that needs reviewed, even if it's an employment contract, we can help with that. If you've got oil and gas issues, car wrecks, medical issues, those kind of things, please give us a call. We'd love to help you. The name of the firm up there is Shoemake. It is us. We just left the name because it's been there since the 1970s, and everybody in northern counties knows it. But please give them a call, or you can give us a call in Tulsa at Hensley & Associates, and we can hook you up with them up there. But please, we'd love to be able to help you in addition to any other family law stuff you've got.
918-398-5692 for Hensley & Associates. Jeff, have a great week.
Hey, you too. Thanks.
Take a break, and we'll be back.
Tulsa's Morning Show. The
morning. It's the Big Mad Morning Show. 918-460-KMOD. I don't know how much truth there is with this, but there is a rumor going around that Aaron Rodgers is not going to go to the Steelers.
Make up your damn
And there's
mind.
been a development that has happened in the last 7 days or so regarding Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints, and Derek Carr might not be able to play this year.
Okay.
And because of an elbow issue. And so they're going to be in need of a quarterback. And apparently that has Aaron Rodgers' attention. Whether that's true or not, and this is a tactic to better negotiate with the Steelers, maybe.
Right.
But it is entirely possible that he could make it to the to the Saints. I think it's entirely possible that they're going to be in a position where they will need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler, I think he's a fine backup, but he is not a starter. And Taysom Hill is solid. They have some great players on that team. They've got that new coach.
Yeah. You think that Rattler could be a starter with just a little bit of work? I mean,
no.
Just always a backup, huh?
No.
Always a backup.
Yeah.
Never
No,
really
I think it takes a certain demeanor
Okay.
to be a quarterback
Right.
in the NFL. And Spencer Rattler has talked about being an elite level quarterback many times.
Right.
And he's had flashes of that. But continually,
Right.
he has not.
There's no consistency there with him.
No, Baker is in that boat. He has had flashes of elite.
Right.
But to be consistently that, no.
Right.
Right? When you talk about elite level quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers,
Right.
you don't put Baker in those conversations. You don't put Spencer in those conversations.
Right. I don't think Spencer's played enough to get there yet. I think Baker probably should be in that conversation. But that's just my opinion, though.
As the years go by, typically that's not something you develop.
Right. You either got it or you don't, sort of thing.
Yeah. Tom Brady was a backup to Drew Bledsoe, but not for a long. There was never a question on his abilities.
Right.
They knew he would be a guy.
Yeah.
They didn't have any idea he'd be elite and the best of all time.
Right.
But they knew he was going to be a great quarterback. Kurt Warner was not expected to be the guy. That is a rare story.
Right. I just feel like, I mean, with a little bit of work, and sometimes, you just got to be thrown into that situation and then to prove yourself. You know what I'm saying? I think maybe Spencer probably could potentially do that. Basically, I just want Aaron to go away. Just be done, man.
I mean, he could show up and have a crazy season under that head coach, who's a very offensive-minded coach.
Aaron Rodgers?
With the Saints.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe. It just seems like it's always something with him.
It's entertaining. What other
his world, and we're all living in
What
it.
other things are we going to talk about with the NFL right now?
Right. Well, it's not NFL season right now.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's why we got to talk about golf and baseball and hockey.
I think it is a good storyline. It's always exciting to see like where players are going to go.
Yeah.
And you think of a quarterback, as much as you two think not, he is an elite level quarterback, and where he could go. And you talk about Derek Carr, and they're like, they may do okay. They don't have a lot. To suddenly they have a quarterback who can get it done, one of the top stat earning quarterbacks of last season.
Right.
And now that team suddenly has life.
Right.
That's a crazy drama Grey's Anatomy storyline.
Absolutely. And the Jets thought the exact same thing. The Jets thought, oh, hell, we going to get Aaron Rodgers and we're going to kill it this year.
Yeah.
And then he breaks his leg.
Yeah.
And then he's out for the whole season. Whatever. You know what I mean?
But But what I'm saying is, up until that moment, it created a great storyline.
Right.
And it got people talking. And even when he came back, it created a great storyline. And if you're a Saints fan, even though you may not want Aaron Rodgers because you share that same sentiment, it creates a storyline of life.
Yeah, I guess.
When you were like, oh boy.
Gives you something to look forward to, but you also might be setting yourself up for disappointment.
Well, that's anything.
Right.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
The Big Mad Morning Show. Return.
860-KMOD. You can also text BMMS and then whatever you want to say to 82945. Lindsay, what'd you learn today?
I learned to skip the annual Easter egg hunt this year because it sounds like the real treasures are found at the landfill. I mean, the Easter Bunny has never left a blow-up doll in my yard.
Yes.
Right? And also, after her recent trip to space, Gayle King will become more relevant, being known as an astronaut instead of just Oprah's best friend.
Gimpy, what'd you learn today?
I learned that finally 3 inches is a lot. And I also learned that the Blue Origin flight that was going on this morning will be the first time hens will be heard clucking in space.
I learned those women who went to space is the first time they didn't have to pack luggage for everybody that's going on the trip with them.
Oh, wow.
And I also learned Beaver getting stuffed at the landfill is not a movie I'm interested in. It's Corbin saying make sure that dishwasher is loaded right.
It's Lindsay. Stop tracking my cycle.
This is Gimpy, and I'm sorry.
Far too kind.